Hey Christy, how you doing?
Hi, Polly.
Hey, I'm so excited to have you on the phone today or the video today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So guys, today we have Dr. Christy Fergusson, who is a doctor of psychology, a chartered psychologist, and a nutritional therapist and author. Welcome. So Christy, can you give us a little bit of background of your journey and how you've come to do what you now do?
Yeah, well, my interest in health and sort of well-being started when I was about 11 years old. I became just started getting these kind of unexplained symptoms, and I was very, very tired all the time. And I'd actually just started a new school, so everybody thought I had school phobia. I just didn't want to go. Okay. That was the sort of typical diagnosis. And I actually spent about a year going back and forth to the doctors, and they kept saying, I don't know what's wrong. They did all the sort of standard blood tests. And things just started getting worse and worse. My energy levels were very, very low. Spent most of my days in bed, had some digestive problems. I was living sort of constantly on like paracetamols for my headaches. And then after about a year, they diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as ME. Mm-hmm. And I remember at the time thinking, well, up until that point, being ill, you got sick for like 2 weeks, and the doctor would come round, he would give you some antibiotics or give you some painkillers, and then you were, ready, and back to some normal life within a couple of weeks' time. And so all of a sudden, I was in this position where the doctor said, well, there's actually nothing that we can do. And he even said to us, your best option is to go alternative. And
I love those words. There's nothing that we can do, because do you know what? That just inspires me and sparks a fire inside to go, do you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. So it was just, there's nothing you can do, and you're going to have to go alternative. And I remember thinking, I was a 13-year-old girl, I was at 12 coming up to 13 at the time, and I remember thinking, I don't know what alternative is, but I did not want to be alternative at 13. It just didn't sound good to me. And the way I always kind of explain it is, when you watch those movies, the American movies, and you see the sort of road map, and you see all the pinpoints as they're driving around all over the country, and that was kind of like my teenage years, because it was a lot uncooler. It was like me and my gran in the car driving around to all the different alternative therapies. So we did sort of herbs, homeopathy, hypnotherapy, the psychologist. They used to have these wee brainwave devices. Acupuncture, anything and everything you can imagine, I was on it, and that's how I really sort of spent my teenage years, so really learning about this stuff firsthand.
Yeah, wow, you had a lot of ailments, hey? I couldn't write all the ones down in the video that's on your website, but I think I got down polycystic ovary syndrome, depression, anxiety, and some endometriosis, just like literally a couple of the many things that you had to deal with.
Pretty much. It was sort of going through my teens. It started off, as sort of chronic fatigue, which again it's very much like a lot of those conditions like fibromyalgia, and a lot of the things that we're diagnosed with nowadays. It's just an array of different symptoms, and as you know, Polly, it's usually to do with these underlying imbalances in the system can actually lead to seemingly unrelated symptoms. But as we know, the symptoms are not unrelated. I didn't know that at the time. And so by the time I was kind of in my late teens, things had just moved into a deeper level. And so I had things like endometriosis, PCOS, but they were all interrelated, although I didn't even, I didn't realise it at the time. And it's only when I started to learn more about my body and started to make a couple of shifts that everything started to clear up.
Okay. So from all the ailments and illnesses that you've had, what do you think for you was the underlying cause of them?
Well, for one, obviously I'm a nutritional therapist now, so diet was obviously very important. When I was going through that process of going to all these different alternative therapists, I was very much treating that the same way most people do when they go to the doctor. So you go to the doctors, you want a tablet, and then you're going to be better. And I was just replacing that tablet with some acupuncture or with, taking a herbal concoction. So although I was going and taking these things, and I see it with my clients, and they'll come in and they'll say, oh, I tried 3 sessions of acupuncture, that didn't work. Or I tried this herbal, or I tried this vitamin C and that didn't work. And because we're still in that mindset of I want the quick fix.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to think, okay, yeah, you're going for the acupuncture, but you're eating chocolate-covered sandwiches and pot noodles. You know, your body is out of balance.
Yeah.
And I was very stressed. And, you know, and also I started to learn about sort of toxins in the environment and how to cleanse the system as well. So that I think there was a number of factors going on, but things didn't really shift for me until I, first of all, changed my mindset around it and started to not look for the quick fix, but looking for what is throwing me out of balance and then working towards balancing those different aspects.
Yeah. Awesome. And obviously now that you've completely healed of all of those illnesses, because you have a beautiful little girl called Ella, is that right?
That's right, yes, she's 5 this year.
So you didn't have any problems conceiving?
No, I didn't have any problems. I had been told by the gynecologist that there would, you know, I would struggle, but we were pregnant in 4 weeks.
Wow.
So there was no problem at all. I mean, my health really started to turn around in my early 20s because I started, first of all, going to a naturopath, and they sort of taught me a lot about cleansing and detoxification, and that was on 2 levels. It was one about bringing in the right nutrients to support your detoxification pathways, and you know there's so many, you know, when you start to understand how the body works, it's so vital that you're getting those nutrients and eating the right foods and the nutrient dense, the raw foods, and then also bringing in all the cleansing techniques, which I know you talk about a lot on your blog, so the coffee enemas and liver hackings.
I love it. I love my coffee enema. I've already done one today. I've got one more today to do. But it's just like my little sacred time in the bathroom.
Yeah, and that was, so I was kind of thrown into this. I think my family thought I joined some kind of cult because I all of a sudden was living on green juices and doing coffee enemas. And so that was sort of in my early 20s. And then eventually I went to a clinical nutritionist who started teaching me about functional medicine. And that was a real turning point for me because there was, even though I was doing a lot of the cleansing, there was still, like my skin was still really bad. And I still had the hormone issues. And then when I went to the functional medicine expert and started doing the testing, I started to be able to kind of really look at my biochemistry and what the remaining things were out of balance. And so that's how I ended up sort of training and doing what I do now, basically.
So you do those tests that you once had, so functional testing?
Yeah, we do. I do all that. So I started out as a psychologist. So when I was 16, I left school, and because I kind of homeschooled myself. And so I was 16, I was only going to school 1 day a week, so I thought this was completely pointless. Went to university and was determined to learn about psychology because everyone kept saying it's all in, you know, it's kind of all in your head, this concept of chronic fatigue, you know, because you look well, you look healthy. So I always thought if I could just figure out what was going on in my mind, and started down this route towards doing my PhD and my chartership. And then as I was doing that in my life, I started to learn, no, there's a way more to this. And then by the time I was doing my PhD, I started doing a degree in nutritional therapy, but specialising in functional medicine. So now we do a sort of integration, the psychology, you know, changing people's mindset around food, but then bringing in the functional medicine testing and, you know, the customised treatment programmes using supplements and that side of it.
For people who don't know what functional medicine is, how would you sort of break it down into layman's terms?
I mean, I think with functional medicine, it's about looking at the underlying imbalances. So it's all about getting to the root cause. So very often what we focus on is those specific symptoms. You know, we've got a headache, or we have, you know, the heavy bleeding at the time of the month, or we're very tired. With functional medicine, what we're looking at is what's the root cause, what's the underlying cause. So, for example, for me, now chronic fatigue syndrome, so nobody really explained to me, doctors never talked to me about my adrenals, for example. So I started to learn that a lot of it would be to do with adrenal fatigue. So I've been through a lot of stress, and I wasn't supporting my adrenal function. They're like CEO of stress management. So a big part of my, you know, my recovery was, you know, taking supplements and changing my diet so that I could support my adrenal function. And that had a knock-on effect even with my hormones, because your adrenals are out of balance. That can affect your progesterone levels, which was then making me shed high levels of estrogen, and it was giving me the symptoms of PCOS and endometriosis. So everything was interlinked, of course, which was then affecting my skin. I learned about cellular energy production and how we need certain nutrients to make that cellular energy, make our energy cycle.
Yeah.
So I started looking at a different way. And even in the gut, we can have candida and parasites and bad bacteria and low good bacteria, and all of that can have a knock-on impact even on our hormones, our skin, and our energy levels. So functional medicine is really trying to get to the root cause and address it at that level. And when you start to work on the different energy systems within the body at a biochemical level, it can have, almost reduce any sort of seemingly unrelated symptoms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense completely. And it just goes to highlight that you have to look at everything, and you really need to treat the body and the person rather than the disease. And that is, I think, what is the key message to health and well-being that we're all working towards. Treat the body and the person rather than the disease.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
One pill does not fit all ill.
I know, and I think nowadays there's this kind of, I see it with hormone problems all the time. If you're a young woman and you have a hormone problem, the first thing you do is you go to the doctor, you get given the contraceptive pill. And that's somehow supposed to be a solution. If that's not what, they give you another form of the contraceptive pill. It's this kind of backroom mentality of looking up the manual and seeing, okay, X, Y, and Z symptoms, let's take this medication.
Yeah.
And it's about shifting our mindset around that.
So basically what we need is a massive hospital with loads of people like us in it that are doctors, but also have something else, some way of helping people with the functional medicine type side of things as well.
Yeah, the doctors don't really have you're in there for like a 5-10 minute consultation. They don't have time to look at your diet, your supplements, all that. I remember watching a video by Mark Hyman, who's a functional medicine doctor and a medical doctor, but he's specialised in functional medicine. And I remember him saying that 80% of the conditions that we face could be addressed purely through diet and lifestyle. I thought it's so true. We can actually address probably 80% of the things we face without even going to the doctors, just by changing our diet and our lifestyle. I think a lot of times we don't want to do that because it seems like a lot of work, or we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So almost taking the medication is sometimes an easier option, which is a kind of strange mentality, but that is often the case, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I just would encourage everybody to look at their diet and their lifestyle first, and then resort to taking pills and chemicals at a last resort.
Because there's no quick fix. No matter what route you go down.
No, and one of the things that I've come to realise through my own journey is that they can
work together.
They can coexist peacefully together. You can use some conventional medicine at the same time as using alternative methods, such as even changing your diet, acupuncture, seeing a naturopath, taking up yoga, and looking at living a more holistic life. I think they can massively improve your chances of improving your health condition.
I agree. That can be in relation to anything, because there comes a point when sometimes things have gone to a certain point that you need medical intervention, and you maybe need to go. I remember even with my endometriosis, I had to go and get a laparoscopy, get some work done at that level. It didn't balance my hormones, but it got rid of the damage that had already been done, so I could start fresh, work at a cleaner level.
That's kind of what I'm doing at the moment with my cancer. Is I'm having the chemo, which I desperately don't want, because it is chemicals, but it's kind of reducing the cancer in my lungs, and at the same time I'm going hard on the raw and the juice and the cleansing and the detoxing, all that kind of stuff, so I can try and get back to the point where I was really good. So So
I know, and also supporting your body through that process, which is so crucial. And the two can definitely mix. I think there's a big difference between that and this sort of people who are sort of
with you one way or the other.
It doesn't. But the thing it's almost with the mindset stuff. You're in control because you know what's happening and you're making those informed decisions. I think for a lot of times when we're living with unexplained symptoms, we just don't know. And so we're given medications for things that we don't know. I know, for example, with digestive problems, one of the first things the doctors do is give you things like antacids or acid blockers before they've even done any investigations.
Yeah.
Where it's just a case of sort of standing up and saying, well, no, I want to know what's causing it. And then I can decide, okay, am I going to go down the medical route? Am I going to do some of the holistic stuff? Am I going to integrate them? It's just about giving us back some control.
I think the steps that people should take when they have an illness is to find out exactly what it is, what causes it, and what you can do in your own life with diet and lifestyle to try and improve it.
I agree. I mean, I get clients into the clinic who've got maybe, say for example, digestive issues, and there's a stool test which looks at all your good bacteria, your bad bacteria, your stomach acid, your digestive enzymes. But I also say, go to the doctors if they've not had a lot of those tests, go and find out, is there, what else is going on there? And if they've had sort of ongoing symptoms for a long time, it's great if they've had the colonoscopies and the endoscopies and they've ruled stuff out, then you go, right, we're just looking at it at this level because we know there's nothing underlying that's more serious. So I think as much as you can, just use the tools that are available to you to really try and get to the root cause and then make a decision about the right approach for you.
Absolutely brilliant advice. I completely agree with that. So, Christy, what are your daily non-negotiables? My daily
non-negotiables. I must have a green juice every day. This is my absolute
hell yeah.
I didn't even discover green juices that long ago. But since I've done that has shifted everything. And my husband even says to me, when I start to get a bit frazzled, he will say, "You've not been having your green juice, have you?" And I'm like, "No." And he makes it up every morning, puts it in these little mason jars, and he can tell if I've not had it, both by the way I'm acting and also by what's not in the fridge. So that is definitely a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I think definitely trying to get to my bed at a decent time. I find if I don't get to my bed at a decent time, that is just a recipe for a disaster. And also making sure I include enough raw food. That seems to be a big thing for me, is making sure that I'm getting enough raw food in my daily diet. So they're my kind of 3 things I really focus on.
How do you get the raw food? Do you eat salads or make something, or do you have a smoothie? Or
I have my green juice in the morning, so I usually have a couple of pints of juice throughout the day. So I start with the juice in the morning, and I keep it in mason jars, so I'll have more in the afternoon. Lunchtime, I used to think having a high raw diet was something that was really going to be really complicated. It just really scared me to begin with. And then I realised that I just need to have a bit more salad at lunchtime and more, so I try and make sort of 80%, at lunch, mostly raw, about 80% of the day, but I find that, my juices in the morning, a big raw salad type thing at lunchtime, and then I have a wee bit more cooked food with my evening meal, and I find that works out quite nicely for me.
Yeah. And for your evening meal, are you big on meat or fish or vegan, or what's your thing?
I've done a whole lot of different stuff. I've tried vegan I did that for a while, and now I just have a little bit of fish. That's actually works for me, and I have a wee bit of goat's cheese as well. So they tend to be hidden with eggs. I'm not against having eggs. It just never really seems to happen that often. But I would have an omelette if someone made me an omelette. But I have some fish a couple of times a week. And that's really about it. The rest of it is a high plant-based diet.
Cool. Okay, good. And what advice would you give for people who have really intense cravings for certain foods? Because this is something that I get asked all the time, and I've just been working with someone actually who has a thing about crackers. She's not crackers, but she has a thing about eating crackers, and we've just got her from eating several, maybe, I don't know, a lot, like a good quarter a pack a day, down to nothing for the last week or so. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm still haven't eaten any crackers, it's amazing." And I was like, that's cool.
Well, there's a few things. I remember reading a great book a couple of years ago and called The Mood Cure, and that really shifted a lot of my thoughts around food. Have you read it? It's by Julia Ross.
No.
And she basically talks about how our brain biochemistry, our neurotransmitters are like our feel-good chemicals, like our serotonin, our dopamine, our adrenaline, how they can become depleted if we're low in our amino acids.
Okay.
So it's really, very oftentimes we get certain cravings for food, like, when we get into winter, our serotonin levels drop and we find ourselves on the couch eating a whole lot of carbohydrates to give us that boost. So a lot of times the foods that we're craving, it can be things like, like imbalances in blood sugar levels. It may be we have certain deficiencies, but it could be where specifically that we're quite low in our amino acids. So making sure that we're getting enough good quality protein regularly throughout the day. And that doesn't have to be meat. I mean, as we know, there's so many great sources of plant-based protein, hemp proteins and quinoa and buckwheat and all of these. So that would be the first thing. The other thing is, if you feel like a food is in control of you, then you're not in control. And I've had this in my own life. I remember for years I was living on the green juices and having all the good, healthy, nutrient-dense food, but I could not give up chocolate. Chocolate was just my thing, and I even switched to raw chocolate because that was obviously going to be healthier, and I tried all these different things, but no matter what, I just was consistently craving chocolate, and I eventually had to completely take it out of my diet, even the raw stuff. I had to take everything out because I just can't, I just get addicted to it. And I've tried the high levels of magnesium, the essential fats, and what was interesting was, for years I was following this really, nutrient-dense diet, and the only thing I had was chocolate. The minute I took out the chocolate, my skin cleared. And so I knew this is something that I'm reacting to.
So you actually can't eat cacao?
I can't eat, no. The minute I have even just a small piece, I will get a breakout. And I struggle with my skin for so
bizarre, isn't it?
So for me, the only way to really stop myself from doing it was to just abstain completely, which has worked.
Okay, so look at the amino acids and the fats in your diet.
Make sure you've got good quality protein. Mm-hmm. The other thing can be sometimes, like some foods are really addictive. Like I think wheat is quite addictive. Gluten can be quite addictive.
Yeah, I've got a big blog coming out about that actually in the next week or so.
And dairy as well, because you've got the glutamorphins and the casomorphins, and what they do is they lock into our opium receptors in our brain, and they have this drug-like effect. And I get these clients come along like, I'll do whatever you say, just don't take out my buttery toast. And I'm like, well...
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one. Gluten-free bread exists. I just found a wicked company called Genius.
Yes, that's who I use.
Yeah, and they're really great. And they sent me some lovely bread to try, and I mean, my sister's all over it. She's like, I love that fruit bread. Have you got any more? I'm like, all right, calm down.
It's quite simple. I mean, in our house, we've got a 4-year-old, and my husband, and we are gluten free, and we don't really. I mean, we have a bit of goat cheese, but we don't have any milk or anything. And it's simple. Nowadays there's so much selection. It's actually quite straightforward to do. So I've noticed that with clients, like there are certain foods, obviously sugars, a lot of the artificial sweeteners, we can become quite dependent on them. Yeah. Gluten's another one, dairy. And I find with my clients, once they've taken them out, they've gone through a wee withdrawal period, especially if it's like caffeine-based food, if they're having a lot of coffee, then they don't miss them. It's just that initial period of weaning off.
Yeah, and then after it, yeah. And also I find that as you clean up your diet, you actually crave a lot less bad food. Yeah. And I mean, I used to be a massive sweetie fan. I mean, not so much like jelly sweets. I've never been big onto those, but just more so like chocolate and crisps and chocolate bars. I think were my main thing. But nowadays, I mean, I just don't really even crave them and rarely want to eat them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I was doing coaching with clients who come in and they sort of it just seems that the diet that I'm on now just seems so far away for them.
Yeah.
Because they're eating, and I think, well, as I explained, I didn't start like that. I started on instant noodles and Nutella sandwiches. That's what I, began. And I certainly, the thought of getting up the next morning and having a green juice and a large raw salad would have been completely impossible for me and overwhelming. And that's not how I started. I did simple shifts. And over time, it became easier. And as you said, your cravings go. As your system cleans up, those foods don't seem appealing anymore. I mean, it's never an issue where we go out and we want to go to McDonald's, or it just isn't something that ever appeals.
No.
And it's the same with a lot of the foods. My system's not used to that. I kind of know how they'd make me feel if I ate them, and that just no longer is appealing. The taste is not enough anymore.
No, absolutely. What are the most common myths you are forever clearing up?
Oh my god, there's so many.
I know. Give me your top two, because I know we're probably running out a bit out of time. So give me your top 2 myths that you are so over.
This low fat labelling drives me crazy. I mean, when you take fat out of food, it tastes awful. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And so when companies take fat out of foods, they have to add something in to make it taste good. And what they add in is sugar. Well, that's initially what they started was adding in sugar. And when sugar goes into the system, it just converts over into fat. You know, that's how our body makes fat. Sugar, glucose, too much glucose in the system, it just gets stored as fat. So it's completely roundabout way. The other thing is if they don't put the sugars in, because everyone suddenly became conscious of sugar, they put in the artificial sweeteners. So that is like a big, big thing for me. And I guess the other thing is the issue of good quality fibre. And I think there's a lot of confusion around that because we're back to this wheat issue. And we think that we need to have lots of these brands and a lot of these cereals. These are going to be really great for us because they're going to be really good quality fibre. But actually, gluten just messes up our system. And I see so many people, when they take these things out, the gluten out of the diet, their digestive system is completely different and starts to respond. And so they're the 2 big things. Even if you just got to, change your concept around this low-fat foods, look for foods that are in their more natural state. There's nothing wrong with the avocado. It's much more easier for people to digest.
Fat doesn't make you fat.
No, so go for the avocado over the low-fat cereal bar. And when it comes to our digestive system, taking out the gluten and really focusing on proper good quality fibre, when I think about our green smoothies and all our green vegetables, things that are really going to sweep through the system, as opposed to adding things like bran and those harsh cereals.
Okay. And what's your favourite what's your favourite oil actually to use?
I love coconut oil because I cook with that and I put that in smoothies as well, and obviously I can put it on my skin. I love hemp oil because it's got a good blend of the 3, 6 and 9, so it's a really nice balanced oil, so I quite like that one as well.
Okay, cool. And lastly, what 3 supplements would you recommend people take that the majority of people that you see are deficient in?
A good multivitamin mineral that's going to cover everything, and God, there's a few.
I know.
I think that's really important, and you want to make sure you've got enough magnesium in there because we're also deficient in magnesium. Your vitamin D, especially up in Scotland, you really want to get vitamin D.
Especially if you live in Scotland, it rains there all the time. Although having said that, it is sunny today.
Sunshine, but normally it's pretty bleak.
Well, every time I go to bloody Scotland, it rains.
Oh, really?
So next time it's sunny, you tell me and I'll come up.
So vitamin D certainly. Also with your digestion, obviously a good quality probiotic.
Yeah.
It's great because we're always so low in that. And I see that time and time again, these stool tests, everyone's got no growth in lactobacillus, so good quality probiotic.
Yeah.
So there would be 3 really good ones, but the other ones would be like your essential fats, like some fish oils, and even looking at a digestive enzyme supplement. I think people miss that, but I know from analysing all the tests, a lot of times the markers that are low are always to do with not breaking your foods down. So looking at like a digestive enzyme supplement, sometimes with a little bit of hydrochloric acid in it.
I really like Udo's digestive blend. I sell that on my in my store actually, and I love taking that. That's a big seller.
Just because it has such an impact. If you're not breaking the foods down, it can then, damage the gut lining once they're in there. It can stop the foods from becoming sterilised. There's a whole knock-on effect if your food's not being properly digested.
I just thought of one more question that I really want to ask you. What water do you recommend people drink? Because I get this one all the time as well, and I'm just intrigued of what you recommend.
Yeah, I did a video on this last week. We did like a weekly show.
Yeah.
So I did one on water last week. So I've looked at all different things. We use our reverse osmosis water filter under our sink. And I started out with one of those Brita filters, but then, because we didn't want to invest, but then we invested in the underwater, so the reverse osmosis water filter. And we sometimes use we've got these bobble, I don't know if you've seen them, they're called water bubbles. They're like, they're refillable water, they're BPA free, and you can, it's instead of you buying bottled water all the time, so you would use, you could fill that up and it comes through the filter. So that just takes out, it's just another substitute, I think, for maybe going to the gym instead of using the bottled water all the time. So that's what I use. I use the reverse osmosis water.
I saw this amazing thing the other day called what was it called? Aquazinger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a bottle, and then in the bottom of it, it's got almost like a filter where you put half a lemon or half a lime or an orange.
Oh, wow.
It screws to the bottom, and then it filtrates into the water. So it's it's alkaline water for your day. It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Love it. I'm gonna
what do you use, Polly? Because I know they can do alkaline water. You can get distillers. What are you using?
Well, at the moment, I've been through so many different stages of water, but I'm looking at getting an Aviva alkaline system.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's been recommended to me. But I'm always curious to know what people drink, because it's it's hard to know, because everyone says different things, and even I've read so many things. I'm just, you just don't know, do you? So you just sort of.
Same. I mean, I've read loads. I've read about the alkaline water, and then I've read negative things about that, and then I've read about the distilling. And I remember the naturopath, I used to go to this huge machine in our kitchen, which made such a noise.
Yeah.
It was like distilling the water, and I was eventually getting myself like, oh, I could be here all day trying to. So I just went, let's just make it simple, reverse osmosis water filter.
Yeah, I used to have one, and I don't know why we don't have one anymore, but I think we'll have to look at maybe getting it reinstalled.
Yeah, and you can get one for do you do one in your shower? Because I know you can get like the water filters really for the shower heads. And
yeah, absolutely.
Just to clean out all the chlorine.
Thank you so much for our interview, Christy. It's been so much
thank you very much, Holly.
But Christy, before we go, can you tell us about your fabulous new Hay House book?
So this is Hot, Healthy, Happy, and it basically, all the things that we've been talking about in this interview, and it brings them all together. So it talks about a little bit about my journey, and the way I sectioned it up is I've put it into, the first part is all about the body, so we talk about the hormones, the digestive system, the skin. I really break it all down, and I talk a bit about the testing, functional medicine test, but really trying to understand how the imbalances can be caused within the system, and really trying to take functional medicine and make it accessible in a way that you can kind of understand and follow it. And then the next part is all about the mind. So I remember I went through a phase where I was changing my diet, but I hadn't changed how I thought about food, so I was getting myself really stressed out. All of a sudden I was really worried about all these chemicals in my food and all the stuff I was eating, and I was becoming really overwhelmed about it. So I've put in a part in the book which really focuses on your mindset and tries to explain how you can create that stress response by what you eat and by taking too many sugars, but you can also create it by what's going on in the head. And so that's just as important when you're changing your diet, to just be a bit chilled out about it and to respect where you are in the process. And what we've done is put in a 21-day program which does the affirmations, the meditations with the menu plans, and we've put in some recipes just to help people go through that process. And so for everyone that buys the book, you can come on over to thepsychologist.com, and we give away free meditations that go alongside it, which we've been getting a really good response for. So.
Excellent. But you have to get a copy of the book to get the meditations, right? Yeah,
you come on over. Once you've bought the book, it has the password in there, and you can come over and get the free meditations. And if you want more advice on this, I do a weekly show, as I said, with my husband. So a lot of times it's just me tormenting him, but we talk about health-related issues, and they're just short videos that we release every Friday.
Yeah.
And so you just come and sign up. They're free, and every Friday you get a new one in your email inbox, and that's at thepsychologist.com.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Christy, I'm sure we'll see you soon. Lots of love, and thank you very much for speaking to my audience at Polly's Path.
Thank you, Polly. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.